There is no question that our uncertain world requires anticipation and highly human skills for survival, growth, and achievement. These include basic thinking skills, predictive power, creativity, imagination, decision-making, planning, social skills, and responsibility in a new globalized reality of network communication and adaptation. In this day and age, individuals, organizations, and communities tend to rely primarily on intuition, traditional information, and 20th century technologies to perform their key know-how or knowledge work. While these traditional ways of thinking and older technologies are essential for functioning in the 21st century, they are an augmentation, not a replacement, for human reasoning skills or scientific progress. People who cannot think, reason, and do state-of-the-art research will find themselves reliant on obsolete methods that have no inherent reasoning powers, theoretical knowledge, or meaning. In our volatile global environment, this can disempower and handicap an individual who is competing with skilled thinkers and great powers of reasoning and access to cutting-edge data. Human cognition, foresight, visioning, and data analysis will be increasingly crucial for competitive success. In this module, we will review strategies for developing a highly human organization and workforce that employs information technology as a tool, but also leverages the essential human skills of logic, thinking, and the tools of science to ensure vision, productivity, and sustainability in our uncertain world. I will present views and recommendations on this topic based on my research and practical experience as a researcher and teacher. Humans have always sought to know the future. In ancient days, oracles, medicine men, and seers putatively enabled people to look into the future. Horoscopes, crystal balls, tarot cards, and other magical devices have been largely unproductive in our attempts to look forward to predict upcoming events. Today, we would not stake our lives, our businesses, or our fortunes on these uncertain methods and devices. Nonetheless, our desire to know the future has not diminished. So where can we turn? We can start by developing open-mindedness. One of the great gifts that every human is given is the ability to learn. Learning, however, requires having an open mind and accepting new ideas. Closed-mindedness is a great barrier to innovation and results in stagnation and obsolescence. Fortunately, our most successful ancestors were open-minded about taming fire, developing agriculture, and exploring the planet, and developing technology. But there are many examples of closed-mindedness that can interfere with progress, innovation, and a better quality of life. In the recent past, many people in various parts of the world were closed-minded about the existence of germs. They could not personally see or feel germs, so they were closed-minded and doubtful about their existence. Even when they were visible through a microscope, people did not think that such a small organism could actually hurt a large human being. Of course, abundant scientific, empirical data show that germs cause numerous diseases, despite those doubts that a microscopic organism can make you sick. Today, no educated person doubts the abundant evidence that germs cause disease. Sadly, closed-mindedness about germs can lead to serious illness and death. In the less developed world in particular, ignorance of germs leads to diseases like dysentery, malaria, and HIV/AIDS. Opening minds through education in these locales could substantially reduce death and suffering. Some governments, religions, and whole societies are closed-minded and dogmatic about ideas. Innovators like Galileo and Copernicus believed that the Earth revolved around the sun, despite the widespread belief that the sun revolved around the Earth. Traditional beliefs and common sense observation that the sun rose and set every day while revolving around the Earth reinforced erroneous thinking. People should have been skeptical of these bizarre new astronomical ideas, but not closed-minded. Galileo has been called a heretic and was persecuted for his radical ideas. Eventually, Galileo was proven right, and human knowledge benefited greatly from these astronomical innovations. Today, despite overwhelming evidence from fossils, archaeological excavations, genetic testing, and historical documents, around 40% of Americans do not believe in human evolution. The Pew Center research found that 97% of scientists believe that living things evolved due to natural processes, but only a third of the public hold that view. 42% of Americans continue to believe that God created humans in their present form just 10,000 years ago, despite the fact that nearly 100 Nobel Prize winners, some of the most intelligent people on the planet, endorse the teaching of biological evolution and are on record against the teaching of creationism. Nearly half of the public oppose the teaching of evolution. And such views are not limited to the United States. In Brazil, for example, a third of respondents thought God created humans less than 10,000 years ago, and only 9% accept a fully scientific explanation of human evolution. So why are people so untrusting of established scientific knowledge? Many people think that evolution is in conflict with their basic religious ideas, rather than embracing both religion and evolution. Fortunately, data from 10 countries around the world suggests that many people think that it is possible to believe in God and still hold the view that life on Earth, including human life, evolved over time as the result of natural selection. People in many countries accept this idea. India leads the list, with 85% of respondents agreeing, with Mexico second at 65%, Argentina third at 62%. The United States was at 53%, just behind Great Britain, Russia, and South Africa, which tied for fourth at 54%. Similarly, despite masses of temperature data from around the world, melting glaciers and rising sea levels, many people are unaware about global warming, and many fail to view it as a threat. For instance, a quarter of Argentinians, Brazilians, Chileans, Costa Ricans, and a third of Colombians, Ecuadorians, Mexicans, Panamanians, Uruguayans, and Venezuelans, half of Bolivians, Dominicans, Guatemalans, Hondurans, Nicaraguans, Paraguayans, and Salvadorans, and a third of Haitians were unaware of global warming and do not see it as a threat. Worse, despite a scientific consensus on humans as the primary cause of global warming, fewer than half worldwide believe that people are the cause. Clearly, educators have much work to do to change public opinion about what might be the biggest threat to humanity. Let's review here the role of skepticism. Of course, every new idea should not be mindlessly accepted. There is a danger to open-mindedness that can be countered by logical skepticism. Skepticism is not cynicism or closed-mindedness. It is simply a stance that requires proof before a new idea or practice is accepted. Open-mindedness is imperative, but your baloney detector must also be activated. Skepticism requires the discipline to doubt new ideas that are unproven. To the Greeks, skepticism meant inquiry, and a skeptic was an inquirer. So skepticism is not closed-mindedness or unwarranted distrust of new ideas and practices. It is shocking that so many people believe in completing unproven and bogus ideas. Over 40% of Americans believe in haunted houses and satanic possession. In today's world, there are a lot of bogus beliefs that have no basis in fact. So inquiry and research is needed before buying snake oil or waterfront property in the desert. Often people believe rumors or unproven ideas. Just because it is on the internet or Uncle Carlos says it's true does not mean it is true. Inoculations against disease do not cause autism, but failure to get inoculations leads to the spread of measles, smallpox, polio, and other fatal diseases. Lottery tickets rarely produce millionaires, but they do cause many poor people to become poorer. Sunscreen does not cause cancer, but failure to protect people's skin from the sun causes millions of new cases of skin cancer each year. Palm readers cannot predict the future, but bad decisions are often made based on bogus predictions. It is important that parents and teachers work with children to instill rational thinking and scientific facts. Erroneous beliefs are dangerous and can lead to injury, disease, and death. People are entitled to their own opinions and their own attitudes, but not believing in scientific facts like gravity, evolution, or heart disease are downright dangerous. We all need to work toward defeating dogma. Dogmas are widely held beliefs promulgated by an authority as undoubtedly and absolutely true, but turn out to be false when challenged. Dogma often serves as the basis of an ideology, paradigm, or a system of values or beliefs that are fundamental and difficult to discard. The dangers of dogmatic thinking are many. First, data that challenge dogma are likely to be discarded because dogmas, by definition, are true. Second, dogma is a major impediment to all aspects of science, since testing any concept for its truth or validity is fundamental to science. Third, dogma inhibits progress. As American President Abraham Lincoln once said, "The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present." When new knowledge is discovered, it leads to innovations and progress. Dogmatic thinking impedes such progress. Thus, dogmatic thinking is a major roadblock to personal, organizational, or societal advancement. As the great Steve Jobs once said, "Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice." The world is full of dogma and semantics that reflect prior dogma. In most countries, people use the term sunrise and sunset to describe the appearance and the disappearance of the sun each day. Few people today, if any, really believe that the sun actually rises out of the ocean each day, yet the term is still used. The terms sunrise and sunset are a window into the past, when most people really believe that the sun rose rather than the earth turned. Defeating that dogma wasn't easy. Galileo was convicted of heresy, was prohibited from expressing his radical beliefs, his writings were banned, and he was sentenced to jail. Dogma is powerful, and dogmatic people cling to these false beliefs with great tenacity. For millennia, people thought that women were the weaker sex, were less intelligent, and incapable of earning an education, having a job outside the home, or starting a business. Unfortunately, these beliefs still persist in many parts of the world. Data show no differences in intelligence between men and women. They also show that women have fewer illnesses and live longer than men. And no studies have found significant differences between men and women in their ability to earn an education, start a business, or even run a country. Despite all this data to the contrary, many cling to the erroneous and dangerous belief that women are the inferior sex. Religious dogma coming from traditional beliefs in the sacredness of human life suggests that embryonic stem cell research was sinful and violated the dogmas of certain religious principles. Ironically, stem cell research is pro-life in that it has the potential to save countless lives, including cancer, stroke, heart disease, epilepsy, Parkinson's disease, and others. But utilizing embryonic stem cells is unethical to religions that view an embryo as a potential human life. This is not a simple issue, but rather than invoking a religious dogma, a dialogue should ensue about the importance of human life and whether using stem cells is more respectful of life. Once again, dogma destroys dialogue and inhibits ethical and scientific progress. The great astronomer Carl Sagan once said, "A central lesson of science is that to understand complex issues, or even simple ones, we must try to free our minds of dogma and to guarantee the freedom to publish, to contradict, and to experiment. Arguments from authority are unacceptable." Fortunately, science is able to facilitate some very educated guesses about what may happen in the next era or epoch. These implements of science are the toolbox of chemists, engineers, social scientists, and other academics who can predict with great certainty the reactions of a compound, the strength of a bridge, the spread of a disease, or the outcome of an election with great certainty. But the tools of science are not limited to the small cadre of elite research scientists. These tools can be used by students, business persons, and other ordinary citizens to predict the future far above the random forces of chance. So what are these tools you can use to make better predictions? We can start by using the concept of theory. It is important for good deductive reasoning to have a working theory. The word theory in everyday parlance is synonymous with speculation or conjecture. But to a scientist, theory is an organized set of principles that can explain and predict everyday phenomenon. Plate tectonics is a theory of geology, but it is more than idle speculation. It is a powerful set of explanatory principles or natural laws that explain the position of the continents, the regions of greatest earthquake activity, and locations of volcanic activity. Plate tectonics is an important set of principles that continue to receive support and confirmation in seismic studies, oil exploration, ocean navigation, and a host of other domains. It is not speculative, though its details may frequently be questioned and revised. In physics, the theory of relativity is certainly called a theory, but it is not mere conjecture. It explains the internal relationship of matter and energy that provides an understanding of the expansion of the universe, the power of the sun, and the nature of nuclear energy. Like other theories, it is highly practical and can be used for space exploration, nuclear medicine, information technology. Psychological theories of learning have great power to predict animals' behavior, and humans are no exception. A particular behavior of an animal is increased when followed by something satisfying or reinforcing. This is the basis of training dogs, horses, or dolphins to do particular behaviors. Provide reinforcement with a reward or treat. Likewise, giving a child a trip to a carnival for an excellent report card increases the likelihood of good grades in the future. And implementation of classical learning theory. Changing behavior is governed by the principles of reinforcement theory that have wide applicability in parenting, education, and health policies. So how do people use theory to make good predictions in everyday life? First, it is important to employ good theory. Good theories have been subjected to numerous tests and have been verified by scientific research. For example, a weight loss program should employ principles of kinesiology, nutritional science, and biology. These principles provide a scientific understanding of caloric content, energy consumption, metabolism, and energy balance. Such a theoretic understanding should motivate a person to burn more calories through exercise, take in less calories through caloric restriction, and eat foods higher in nutrients and lower in sugar and saturated fat. The theory will work, but of course the devil is in the details of implementing such a program. Starting a garden can benefit from theoretical knowledge of climate zones, meteorological conditions, soil types, and the need for fertilizers. Raising healthy flowers or vegetables are not random luck, but the application of systematic knowledge of botanists and farmers across the centuries. Sometimes this information is available at a university or agricultural extension office. But such theoretical knowledge may also come from less elite sources. For instance, a farmer may have an implicit theory of climate that has been tested over the years. It may be simple, but tried and true knowledge such as don't plant your seeds before May 1st and be sure to harvest by October 1st. Theories are not the sole province of people with advanced degrees. What they require is a powerful principle that has been repeatedly tested for its validity. A business can use theory to understand the interplay of inflation, employment, and economic growth, to understand business cycles, to predict production cycles, supply chain, and inventory. Businesses need to understand principles of supply and demand, industry trends, and consumer behavior. These theories are intensely practical and inform us on when to reduce inventory, hire more employees, sell a house, or reduce one's investments. In short, success in life depends on knowledge of and the selection of a testable, proven theory to provide the best predictions available. So when embarking on an enterprise, campaign, or program, the selection of valid, powerful theory is paramount. I invite you to make an effort to develop the highly human skills of logic, thought, and science, which I have presented, and to incorporate them in all of your endeavors as you tackle the increasingly complex challenges of today's world. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's now go to Module 2 of this program.